Today's story is about leadership, pressure, and also a lot of sacrifice. And with me on set, we are joined by engineer Kat Mosety. And let me tell you, he has grown up in Githurai. So imagine from Githurai to becoming the managing director of Juba International Airport. I have the pleasure of introducing him, of course.
Thank you.
Yes, you're well?
Thank you so much, Cookie, for having me.
Uko poa. Actually,
Niko
you
salama
grew
sana.
up in Githurai. Uko
Mimi ni mtu wa
fiti?
Githurai, niko salama sana, nashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu.
Yeah.
Najisikia vizuri sana kukuwa nyumbani.
Yes.
Maana nimelelewa Githurai, nimekaa, so Kenya naiona kama nyumbani kwangu.
By the way, Kenya is absolutely
Yes,
home.
yes.
Eh? Do you remember your first time you came to Kenya? How was that experience?
Manze ilikuwa hizo time, unajua Githurai kulikuwa na maji mingi, barabara zikuwa vizuri, unajua. So but ilikuwa nchi vizuri sana, manake nilisomea pale Kimbo Primary Githurai.
Wow.
So tumelelewa hapo. Na tena zaidi tunafurahia sana sasa, maisha imebadilika, kumekuwa na barabara, shule ziko, kila kitu yani. So nafurahia sana kuona kile maendeleo imeendelea Kenya.
Of course.
Yeah.
And also we are glad to have you. I want to understand ile journey yako, the journey to becoming a managing director of Juba International Airport.
Yeah.
Tulifikia hapo aje?
Jambo la kwanza tu ni kushukuru Mwenyezi Mungu. Like I said, I did my studies here and in Kenya. I went to Zimbabwe. I did my first degree, and then I went back to South Sudan. I joined the aviation industry as a general manager for one of the private company. I worked with them for a few years. And then I joined Civil Aviation, Juba International Airport as a deputy general manager. And then I proceeded to the level where I am today. So it was a journey marked by a lot of efforts, dedication, commitment. Yeah.
Okay. And today, you know, we are demystifying all the myths and misconceptions about South Sudan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you as the managing director of JIA, 4 years ago, my uncle alikuwa pale JIA.
Yes.
And he really complained about, number one,
Yes.
customer service. Number two, the infrastructure. What is it that you think you have done differently compared to those years before and the experience based on that particular customer?
Well, if Juba International Airport right now, I'm telling you, if we travel today, you'll have the best experience ever, because we have the best customer service. We have also integrated and upgraded our physical infrastructure development. We have good parking lot. We have runway lights. We have good access control. So there's a lot, and we have one of the best terminals as we speak. So going to Juba, you might not believe that what we have done in 1 year is very incredible. We have done something that has never been done before within a period of 1 year. And we're still going, we're still doing a lot of development. So tunaendelea na ni kazi tunachapa pale, hakuna story ingine, ni kazi tu.
Of course. And I have a few friends from Juba, of course. They have complained, not complained per se, on the leadership based, the political scene in South Sudan and Juba per se. Once you are elected a leader, you are not allowed to really do developments because you don't know what's going to happen next tomorrow. Okay? Yeah. So do you think that instability affects how you work as the engineer and the managing director of Juba?
Well, it doesn't, because first, that one is a misconception, I might say so, because our leadership has tried as much as they can to make sure that you know, services delivery to the people, it's utmost priority. And this is our leadership over the years. They have pushed for that, His Excellency President Salva Kiir. What has happened is that we have had cases whereby South Sudan has gone through a bit of political instability for some times. And this is why the president has insisted, and by extension, he has always advocated for the peace within the South Sudanese people. Yeah. So over the years, he's preaching for peace, and because once there's peace, the stability is there, and then it paves way for development. So kwangu, myself and the rest of us who are in the public service, we wanted to commit and to ensure that we deliver services to our people. So the interest that we have is to ensure that South Sudan is built way rounded in terms of education sector, health sector, physical infrastructure, the same that has also been done here in Kenya by the leadership and the people of Kenya is it's quite commendable. So we are also trying our best. Regardless, we have also had challenges just like any other countries in the world, and you know, but we are handling those situations.
Okay. So would you say that would you ignore the fact that that is true, or it's not true at all? The fact that you cannot actually develop South Sudan?
Completely, that's a false information per se, because some of us, we have been in the government for a short period of time, but we have delivered. We have delivered more than others who have been there for quite some time. So what I tend to believe is that people have different management skills and different types of leadership. But to be honest, we have the utmost support from His Excellency, the President, and that's why so many young people like myself have been given an opportunity to showcase their skills and to ensure that they serve the people of South Sudan.
Yeah.
Not only me, there are so many young people in the system, in the government. Same thing that has been done here by His Excellency President Ruto and other countries in Africa like Tanzania, Uganda. So there's a bridge that has been built by our leaders in East Africa, and I truly appreciate each one of them individually for ensuring that they're not only empowering young people, but they are giving them the opportunity to serve Africans in their respective countries.
And of course, a lot of young people, you know, right now we're in that era where young people are very, very outspoken, and they have freedom of speech. And countries like Uganda, they're being led, quote unquote, by dictators. I wouldn't say that, but that is how they like to prefer how they are being led. Also in Kenya, we say that this is dictatorship, it's not democracy. And I wouldn't say it's dictatorship because there's freedom of speech in this country. Yeah. Also in Sudan, do you think Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, not Yoweri, sorry, Salva Kiir is paving way for young people to have a right to speak about their opinions and be out there and also say what they are going through as young people in the country of South Sudan?
In South Sudan, there's a freedom of speech. There's a freedom of speech, and everyone is allowed to assemble, to gather, and also to speak out their mind. Because looking as per se, as you said, in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and South Sudan, different countries have different models of constitutions, and also people have a different, maybe, you know, there are so many factors. So the type of system that might work maybe in Kenya, it might not as well do in Tanzania or maybe in Uganda. So people have to really understand that the people of that country dictate also how they should be led and what the government has designed for them. It's the same. What works in Kenya, it cannot work in China. It cannot work in the United States of America. So all the solutions and the Constitution, which is the supreme, it depends on the people. It's much based on the people of that particular country. But in South Sudan, there's a freedom of speech, there's a freedom of assembly, and it's just like Kenya. Yes.
Okay. And a lot of Kenyans have this question. They would like to understand. You will find a lot of South Sudanese relocating to Uganda and Kenya. Why is it that when you come to Kenya, you find a lot of South Sudanese are very organized, but when you go to South Sudan, the infrastructure is poor. The leadership is not that stable because there are parts where you can see, okay, this is how they operate, this is their mode of operation. How do you feel about that, number one?
Well, there are so many factors. One has to understand that South Sudan, it's a young country. We got independent in 2011. And prior to the independence of South Sudan, there was a CPA. And before that, there was a civil war inside the whole country of Sudan for good 22 years. And before that, Sudan has to get independent from the British. So this is a country that has been in so many internal conflict for a period of, say, maybe 50 years. You see, you cannot compare it with Kenya. Kenya, whereby they got independent in 1963. And then there have been continuous peace throughout the years. So it paves ways for development. It paves ways for civilization, education sector, and so much. And so in South Sudan, our leadership has been advocating for peace. And that's why the president of South Sudan, regardless of the type of rebellion that or insurgency that we have had, our government has never responded to say that for total annihilation, to say that we must wipe out the people who took the guns against the government. But instead, the government have opted to preach peace and stability because our government wouldn't want it to, you know, butcher its own people. And this is why no matter at the level of rebellion that has happened, the government has not ever in any attempts tried to say that they must get rid of this rebel. Instead, the government has always advocated for peace, to sit down with them, to negotiate, and to find a win-win solution. Because we wanted to build a country. Yes.
What do you think is the biggest change that Sudan needs right now, South Sudan?
Well, one, we need support. South Sudan needs support from neighboring countries, or they need support from the region and also internationally, because one, we only need peace to prevail. And most of this holdout group, they are also being hosted in some of our neighboring countries. So in a different way, we feel that in terms of international relationship and diplomacy, it might not sound well. So we want the international community and the region to support so that they continue to persuade the whole out group for peace. And when we have the peace, it paves ways for so many developments. Like, for example, the infrastructure development that we are doing at Juba International Airport and other projects that the government is currently undertaking, these are dividend of peace. Kama akukekuwa na amani, kumaanisha hatuwezi endelea kufanya kazi pale, manake kuna watu wengi sana ambao sio wa Sudanese, but wanaishi South Sudan. Yes. Na wanafanya biashara zao, wanafanya kazi zao, manake wanaona kuna security na umeona na kazi yao inaendelea without being intimidated. So kitu muhimu ya kwamba ni amani, na sisi tunataka sisi wote kama wa Sudanese tushikane na tupendane, kama vile pia wa Kenya hapa wameshikana na wanaishi kama mandugu.
Yeah.
Umeona?
A lot of entrepreneurs complain about the accessibility of South Sudan because as you have talked about business and business owners who are in South Sudan, most of them leave the country to go to South Sudan and do business because also business is thriving there, number one. Number two, a lot of people also talk about the fact that sometimes South Sudan is very inaccessible, especially when it comes to transportation by road. How do you feel like the government should change this, or what do you think should be the next redress for the government?
I think our government and the government of Kenya, they're working toward that. And I believe there's a memorandum of understanding that has been shared by the two sisterly countries. And that's why now Kenya is working towards connecting South Sudan through Turkana district, because there's a good road that has been built by the government of Kenya all the way to Lokichokyo. And we believe also our government, they are also doing their part to ensure that they connect South Sudan to Kenya directly. And I think this will ease accessibility, and it will ensure that commodities, goods, and people travel to both countries back and forth. So this will boost our trade, and also it's going to benefit the two countries in terms of economic growth and development.
What's the hardest part about running an airport in South Sudan that people don't see at all? From the beginning, when you first came in, what was the hardest part about that?
Well, I believe there's nothing much hard as such, but what I believe that maybe the previous leadership that was there and us who came in through the SSCA want, you know, as a leader, you must have a direction and a clarity of purpose, and the vision has to be there. And when there's a clear vision, and then you must develop a clear roadmap on how best this vision has to be implemented. So basically, we have a master plan. We have a master plan of what we really wanted to achieve at Juba International Airport, as civil aviation, and it's well defined, and we have communicated that vision throughout our organizations. So all our staff and both the senior management and the supportive one, they fully understand that this is the vision, and this vision is clear, so everyone has to work towards that. So with that, we have managed to achieve a lot of results within the shortest possible time. And we are going to do more because we plan to build Tali International Airport. It's going to be one of the biggest up in Africa. And this is our big project for South Sudan. And of course, would also like to partner, with Kenya, any other country, because we wanted to ensure that air transportation services is, it's a global thing. So it would be good if someone can transit from here to Nairobi, to Entebbe, to,
Okay. Speaking of support, apart from peace in South Sudan, you also receive international support through aid, yeah?
Yeah.
Why is it that there hasn't been any development per se in South Sudan, and yet there's this aid that's being received from international, MMF?
Yeah. Well, I have no statistics about the aid that has been given to our country, which of course I cannot deny. It has been there, but I don't believe that there's any country that can fully grow and develop on aid. The product or the development that is here in Kenya, I believe it's from the taxpayers, from the people of Kenya, and this is why you see there's a lot of infrastructure that is going on. There's a lot of positive growth in terms of economy and so on and so forth. So I'll not say that relying on aid or on foreign donation, it's not viable to ensure that the country growth. So South Sudan, we are basically depending and survival on what we produce, which is the oil. So we don't have debt like other countries. So our level of debt, or maybe what has been borrowed, it's less. We don't have,
okay. That's something that I've learned today. That's
yeah. So I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, tunaweza kuwa tu hatujajenga sana, lakini unajua hauna pesa ya mtu. Unajua unaweza kuwa maskini.
Wanasemanga deni ni mzuri lakini kadi.
Deni inasaidia, ni muhimu, na pia tunahitaji pia deni. Sio ati tunakataa. Hata ukitaka unipatia deni ni sawa. Mimi nikitaka kupatia tunapeana, alafu unalipa. Si ni hivyo.
Of course. Do you think also sometimes the fear of North Sudan war affects how the people in South Sudan stay in their country, so that they don't really seriously invest in South Sudan, so that's why they move to other countries? What's your take on that?
Yeah, because Sudan and South Sudan, remember this was one country just like Kenya. So there's a lot of historical ties. It's like we have South Sudanese who are Sudanese, and we have Sudanese who are South Sudanese. And of course, when the war broke out in Sudan, His Excellency President Kiir has been pushing for peace, so that through diplomatic channel, he has actually been advocating for Sudan to hold out groups and maybe the government to work together and to ensure that the war stops. So it's something that it bothers us as well as South Sudanese, because we believe because we have maybe a similar historical origin and so on and so forth. But we are all advocating for peace in Sudan. We want Sudan to be peaceful, and because also we share a lot of economic. There's a trade cooperation between us and the Sudan. So definitely it has a serious impact also on South Sudanese.
Okay. I want you to clear this myth also and misconception about Sudan.
Yeah.
Is it true they bury their money in huts, but they drive big cars, but they don't want to build there because they want to build here?
Not at all. Not at all, because we love our country, and should anyone also maybe say an investor or a business entrepreneur or a politician also wish to have a property, maybe say in Uganda, in Tanzania, in Kenya, it's allowed. It's the same. We have Kenyans, politicians or business people who have their investments or houses in Dubai, in America, in any other place, and vice versa. So those South Sudanese who are investing in Kenya, I think it's their right. You know, it's your right to live where you would want it to live, and because of course it depends also with your preferences. So there are those South Sudanese, maybe politicians or business owners, who also have businesses in Kenya or they have properties, but that one doesn't mean also equally they have not invested in their own countries. You know, yeah. So I will not say that we don't invest in our country. We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever plan to run for political seat?
Leadership is given by God. Yeah, leadership is given by God, and if God said, you know, be there and change the life of other people through leadership or through giving them some sense of direction, and then who are you to reject God calling? So it's by virtue of God. Sometimes we don't really plan for ourselves, but sometimes the nature does. So if God say that, cut, you know, I need you somewhere, and then who am I to reject his call? I'll definitely. And of course, and hata ukiniangalia simi naweza.
Of course.
Kazi tunapiga. Kazi tunachapa.
Yeah.
Na unajua, na kama vile mimi nasema, we don't see, you know, positions, you know, as a way to self-gratify yourself.
Yeah.
But we see position as a way to serve and to make a difference within the society or maybe the community.
Okay. What is that one thing that you think your journey has cost you personally? Imekukost nini in order to get to where you are?
I have to sacrifice so many things. Of course, you know, growing up in Kenya by then, and you know, like my own country was in war by then, Sudan. We did not have the basics, you know, the basic needs that maybe some of my classmates back then they used to have. So in that case, you know, one has to have a lot of, you know, you must to be patient. You have to persevere that pain, you know, and able to work out and still perform, you know. Yes. Still perform better in school like them or even better than them. Because most of us, even regardless of we never had hauna hiyo usaidizi ama you don't have the material to study, but you'll be so surprised, so many of my colleagues that I know and those that studied in Kenya, we have the best doctors and the best engineers. Yeah. Especially when walisomea hapo Kenya, they did their high school and then they ended up doing their further studies in different other countries. And those doctors or maybe those engineers, you know, they never had a beautiful place like this, or they never went to the best schools, but they still perform and get A's. And now they are good medical doctors, they're good engineers, they're good teachers, they're good professors. Of course. Yeah, so safari yangu ni Mwenyezi Mungu, but then also I had to sacrifice so many other things to ensure that I do for myself a self-cultivation. You know, and this happened also with the surrounding, you know, and you know, na unajua kukaa Githurai na pale Gedho, unajua pia hiyo time kuna pia a lot of peer pressure. Unajua pale Githurai unaenda shule, mabesta wako wanakuambia ni aje sijui ni umeona. So unajua life ya street sio kama sahii uko Kilimani, uko Karen, unajua hawa watu wao wanacheza sijui kuna movie uko na nini, sisi hatuko na hizo. Yeah, lakini tunashukuru Mungu. Of course. Safari bado inaendelea. Safari bado ni ndefu. Yeah. Si ndio? Yeah.
Before we wind up, I also have one final question. Yeah. Which leader in East Africa or even Kenya inspires you, and their leadership also is proving a point that, okay, this type of leadership is what I aspire to have?
There are so many leaders that have inspired my life, or so many youth. Like, for example, in my own country, I look after His Excellency President Kiir, you know, as a role model and someone that who has also inspired me. And coming to Kenya here, you know, His Excellency President Ruto has also inspired so many other young Africans throughout his life. He has demonstrated a spirit of a servant to so many Kenyans. And you can see that he's doing his best to ensure that he improves the life of Kenya through education sector, through health, you know, through physical infrastructure development. And he's also a very hardworking person. So, and this is the spirit that we need. So to His Excellency, President Ruto and the rest of the Kenyan leaders, we are very proud seeing that Kenya has been built, and every year Kenya is transforming to a better and a much more beautiful country. So I salute His Excellency President Ruto.
We the Gen Zs don't support William Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya. Why is it that you are actually looking up to somebody who we want to remove from power?
But if you look at it this way, you see, I believe Ruto has inspired so many young African people through his dedication to improve the life of Kenya, through education sector, health sector. And I've also seen that, you know, he has also built a lot of young Kenyan leaders. We have so many other young MPs, you know, that are working under the leadership of President Ruto. So I believe this is someone who wanted to build on the young people. So I believe the Gen Zs, and the President has always described Gen Zs as a powerful workforce for the people of Kenya and then the entire Africa. So I see the Gen Zs, and also His Excellency is working for the interests of the Gen Z. I think it's just the information that need to be well captured and relayed, because you cannot, it's the same president that is fighting for them to ensure that there's a better housing, there's a better healthcare, there's a better education system. This is quite inspirational. So it's one person we look after him, and I believe any other young Africa would want it to be like him, because we wanted to change the life of our people. We wanted to serve our people, you know, and our common challenges in Africa is health issues, diseases, poverty, and this is what we have to fight for, you know. So we're very happy seeing that His Excellency President Ruto is taking the path, and the rest of the Kenyan leader. And this is a trajectory that we all need also in Africa, because Africa should not be always described as a, you know, a land of poverty and so many things. We also need to be described in a very nice manner.
Yes, we are usually described as a third world, but I don't think Africa is a third world.
Africa is rich. We are very rich, but we have not utilized our resources. You might have money, but as much as you don't know how to use that resources, you're equally as someone who doesn't have. So we need to capitalize with that. We have a productive young continent with a lot of productive workforce. Yeah.
Fine. What is the price of not having peace, especially considering the fact that wewe umetoka South Sudan and you know how it's like over there? One thing you'd like to tell us about the price of not having peace?
Well, it's worse. There's no win in war. Be it you're winning or the other person is losing. With war, you'll not be able to have development. You'll not have these super highways you're seeing in Kenya. You'll not have this education sector that you have. You'll not have these good universities and these benefits and social life that the Kenyan people, they're enjoying. So all these are dividend of peace. So kama nyinyi wa Kenya, lazima muendelee hivyo kuishi na amani na mshikane na muendelee kufanyia mara wenu kazi kama wananchi. So amani ni muhimu sana, na kama mtu anakuambia tupigane, mwambie ndugu yangu tusiaipigana. Kupigana inarudisha watu nyuma. Amani ni maendeleo. Ndio maana sasa hivi unaona si mnapiga kazi, serikali yenu inapiga kazi, barabara zinajengwa, kila mtu kazi inaendelea vizuri. Ni nini tena mtu utaipenda more than that? Watu wanaendesha magari zao hapo, wewe umeenda umepiga hivi yako, unafurahia, unakula vizuri, unalala vizuri. Si ndio amani?
Of course.
So muendelea na amani.
Of course. course. Thank you so much for coming through. I
Asante.
appreciate it. And guys, that was Engineer Kat Mosety. And he has just told you Africa is rich. It's that we need more opportunities to utilize our resources. And other than that, I really appreciate. Enjoy your time in Nairobi.
Asante sana.
Of course, you're home, sindio? Yeah. So thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate it so much.
Asante. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Engineer Kat Mosety, and he's just showing us that systems do work because leadership is now becoming easy, okay? And in case you have not watched this particular episode, I would urge you to watch it again and again.